Well, all right. It's another glorious Wednesday, folks, and you know what time it is. So get your crumpets together because, baby, it's time to dish tea, and you're dishing tea, darlings, with Big Meach. Hey, tea sippers out there, how's everyone doing? Babies down here in Atlanta, you know, if you've been paying attention to the news, we've been hit with all these storms and, you know, throughout the state of Georgia, we just heard on the news more trees done toppled over cars and all of that. So, you know, Mother Nature is doing her thing. And so you guys just keep your heads up and keep your prayers across the country, across the land, across the world, because we're in some real perilous times with this weather. But don't let the gloom and doom get you, honey. Life still revolves on. So I'm thanking you for all of your love and your support, for calling in and for being here with me. Today's show is going to be very provocative, and it's going to be informative. So before I get into that, if you are tuning in by computer and wish to chime in on the conversation, you can do so by calling in at 347-205-9183. Again, the number is 347-205-9183. Once you call in, just press the number 1, and your hand will go up on my switchboard, and I'll know that you have a comment, okay, or that you have something to say. And that way we can keep things moving right along. The tea room is open, a.k.a. affectionately called the chat room. So I have 2 guests over there right now. Hey, guest 64, 65, and 6536. Thank you for listening and chiming in. If you would like to comment in the tea room, you will have to create a profile page so that you can able to log in and all of that over there in the tea room. But I'm going to ask that you dish your tea over there responsibly if you're going over there to talk. Remember, this is the written word, and a lot of times when we read someone else's comments, we tend to put our own inflictions on their words and causing us all kinds of heartaches and pain. So, as you're dishing your tea responsibly, we can avoid all that, so you won't be throwing computers at the windows or at walls or out of windows or cussing folks out and carrying on. So to avoid all that, just dish your tea responsibly. It's okay to disagree. Just don't be disagreeable, okay? So, with that being said, let me put my disclaimer right here. This show is for mature audiences, and the language and subject matters are not appropriate for children or anyone who is not mature enough to handle the subject matters. Your listening discretion is advised. Again, your listening discretion is advised. Now, I say that because y'all already know I have a potty mouth. I make no excuses for it. So if you're at work or somewhere that it may be a little inappropriate or a little awkward, I'm going to ask you to either reduce your sound to something where you can hear or put your headphones on, because you bitches are not going to come to me or sending me emails or anything about you getting demerits or getting written up because you did not govern yourself accordingly. So consider yourselves warned, okay? Now, with that being said, if you wish to comment or want to send questions, comments, concerns, Dear Big Meach letters, I do give advice and all that kind of stuff, you can send all that over to Big Meach at dishingtea.com. Again, that's Big Meach, MEACH, at dishingtea.com. I look forward to all of your emails and your comments and all of those kinds of concerns, okay? So, I'm sitting up here now. Look at this overcast. It's going to rain some more. Lord. Okay. So, like I said, today's show is going to be very provocative. This is an installment on our educational series, and today's show, I've titled it today, Illiteracy, the Root of All Evil, ? Okay, is it? Is it really? Is that something we need to look into? Is this something that we need to address? Is it only cultural, and all of those questions? Those things are going to be answered in just a few moments. I want you to sit down and to consider that for just a minute. The overcrowdedness of our prisons. You know, a lot of black men who seem to be dumbing themselves down or whatever, you know, to be repping the hood or whatever the case may be. I want you to consider that. Is the root of that illiteracy? You know? My guest is going to be talking about that in depth, and we're going to get into his story and what I affectionately call he's declared war on illiteracy. From doing my research on him and understanding what I'm understanding, I'm seeing this as a declaration of war on illiteracy. So I'll get into my guest in a minute. Let me say hello real quickly to all of my sponsors who help make Dishing Tea what it is. Georgia Peach Restaurant and Lounge, Southern Hospitality with Southern Fusion Cuisine. You can find them in the underground Atlanta, Kenny's Alley, here in downtown Atlanta. This is the perfect place to dine and mingle while experiencing a home-like atmosphere. Stop by and enjoy invigorating jazz and blues music with live entertainment on the weekends. Everything here is, most of the stuff on the menu is under $10. It doesn't break the bank, and you will have a wonderful, wonderful time. And for more information, please go to 404-348-4300, 404-348-4300. This is Georgia Peach Restaurant and Lounge. Let Shay know that Big Meach sent you. Trade Day Management and PR firm. At Trade Day, enjoy a touch of Southern hospitality with a universal appeal. For all of your public relations and entertainment management needs, contact Travion Davenport at 678-523-3088, 678-523-3088, or email at tradedaypr@gmail.com. Again, that's tradedaypr@gmail.com. Pharaoh's Treasure Box, fine art, unique jewelry, and sensational 3D silk floral arrangements, creations by Taps. For all of your decorative needs, contact Pharaoh's Treasure Box at 248-688-5178 or 5179, 248-688-5178 or 5179, or email at pharaohstreasurebox@yahoo.com. Again, that's Pharaoh's Treasure Box @yahoo.com. Parisian Wine Productions, music to lighten your spirits and lift your soul, specializing in gospel house music and inspirational dance music production. For all of your Christian or church social needs, contact Paris Hairston, he's the CEO, at 646-243-9396, 646-243-9396, or email at paris42268@yahoo.com. That's paris42268@yahoo.com. Life Fellowship of Christ Ministries, live in freedom everywhere, LIFE. Reverend James Coleman is the leader and founder of this ecumenical social justice ministries, brought forth to free the oppressed and introducing a fresh approach to the Christ consciousness. Contact Reverend Coleman at 313-833-9278, 313-833-9278, or email at mustardcole@yahoo.com. That's mustardcole@yahoo.com. Eacham Vidal Couture. Enjoy high fashion with a luxurious twist. Step into the future with fresh, innovative couture. Designs by Miss Michi DeVale. For more information, contact Michi at 313-996-9807, 313-996-9807, or go to facebook.com/Michi DeVale. That's MICHIEEDEVALE, Michi DeVale. The Big Brothers Network, BBN, a new online magazine designed to show the world the class and style of the debonair man of size and his admirers. For more information, please go to www.bigbrothersnetwork.com. That's www.bigbrothers.network.com for the latest edition of the magazine and for more information and upcoming events for the BBN. Also, thank you goes out to the Caribbean Boys Enterprises. We cater, promote, entertain, and provide special services with the Caribbean swagger. Island flavor on the mainland. Bam, bam. Mr. Silvano T. DeMarco is the CEO and founder of the CABC. For more information, please contact Silvano at CaribbeanBoysATL@yahoo.com. That's Caribbean Boys with a Z, ATL @yahoo.com, or go to Facebook, facebook.com/Silvano T. DeMarco. That's SYLVANO-TDMARCO. Kissing After Dark, Atlanta's premier social events for those who are tired of the same old party scene. These premier events are across the ATL where the grown and sexy can become the seasoned and sophisticated. For more information, please go to facebook.com, Kissing After Dark. That's facebook.com, in After Dark for more information and details of upcoming events. Swirl Films, the #1 urban film production company specializing in all areas of production, including directing, producing, script writing, budgeting and scheduling, production assembling, and post-production. For more information, please contact Eric Thomasounis, Russ Parr, or Keith Neal at 910-798-2934. That's 910-798-2934, or go to www.swirlfilms.com. www.swirlfilms.com. Special announcement goes out. The Caribbean Boys Enterprises, they also offer tour guides for all of the mainlands. If you wanted to go to the Bahamas or to the Caribbean, the Caribbean Boys offer tours for those who are looking to go into the LGBT scene over there safely without rustling the feathers of the natives. So, again, for more information, make sure you go to see Savannah T. DeMarco or go to CaribbeanBoysATL@yahoo.com for more information if you're planning on going over there to the Caribbean. Also, a special announcement, June 4th, 2011, we have the 5 Mo artists, an enchanting evening of jazz, art, and theater coming up in Detroit at the Samaritan Center. Tickets are going for $25, and it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful event. Yours truly will be in-house to help facilitate all of the events. So for more information, again, go to Pharaoh's Treasure Box at yahoo.com and find out more information. Also, if you've planned on submitting your advertisement for the souvenir program booklet, for the 5 More Artists souvenir booklet, please contact Pharaoh's Treasure Box immediately as the deadline is approaching. The deadline is this Saturday, the 30th. So if you want more information, again, go to Pharaoh's Treasure Box at yahoo.com for more information, and we can get that out to you right away. Okay. Now, let's get into today's show. My guest today, the Reverend Mr. Henry Price. He has been involved in this crusade for a few years now, and in fact, it has become a crusade due to his calling into the ministry, and as he tells his story of how he overcame adversity, how he's overcome being in prison, and how he's overcome his own bouts with illiteracy, how he has declared war on illiteracy within the African American community and within the diaspora as a whole. Mr. Henry, he was born on January 15th, 1950. He has come from a single-parent household with 3 sisters, and he affectionately attributes the strength of his mother for being able to provide for her children. He's educated in the public school system, and at an early age, he became disinterested in school, and he later became involved in the juvenile justice system. At 10 years old, he had started using drugs. That lasted until the age of 32. In 1982, he ended up shooting and killing a man over 19 bags of cocaine, and on January 31st, 1984, he was sentenced to 40 years in prison for felony murder. Once he got there, he entered into a GED program and received his GED, and then he attended the Assuntuck Community College, where he was involved in drug treatment programs, life coping skill workshops, behavioral studies, and anger and aggression groups. He then became a devout Christian, placing his trust in Jesus. And later received time served, for which the 5 board members voted unanimously for his release. After his release, he has gone on to enrich the community. He enrolled in programs called the Introduction into Counseling, which was being facilitated by the Connecticut Alcohol and Drug Abuse Commission. He also approached the Blue Ridge Treatment Center and asked could he volunteer his services. And not only was he accepted there, but they taught him the 12 core functionings of counseling. He also completed a 6-month internship at Blue Ridge. Then he was hired as a community counselor. The Reverend Price is a social activist. He's a motivational speaker. He believes that our drug problems, crime rates, and teenage pregnancies and prisons are the direct result of illiteracy. Reverend Price speaks on a consistent basis before parent groups, legislatures, church groups, and before inmates inside prisons. Because 85% of our children cannot pass any goals or advanced reading tests, he believes that everyone must be tested so that we can erase this disease in our society called illiteracy. He also runs a men's ministry called God is Calling Men to Freedom, and he believes that because a man is body, soul, and spirit, he must be equipped with life coping skills to fulfill his role as a man. God is the center of everything. This ministry believes that only with God can a man be set free. Now, without any further ado, I need this man to tell his story. Please welcome to the show. This is the Reverend Henry Price. Reverend Price.
How you doing this afternoon?
I am everything, and everything is me. How are you, sir?
I can't complain. Not today, anyway.
Oh, well, okay. See, we complained yesterday, and then when we learned better, we did better. See. Now, just reading this bio, and as you could tell, I was skipping through because I didn't want it to sound very lengthy.
Yeah.
But just in the brief stuff that I've read and gave to the audience, you come from a very interesting spot, brother, a very interesting spot. So why don't we go there and start at the beginning, and let's understand the makeup of the person that you were.
Okay.
That was the catalyst to the person that you are now.
Okay. Briefly, as you stated, I came from a single-parent household and everything. At the age of 5, I was raped by my uncle. At the age of 7, I had an aunt that used to put her dress over my head. From the age 3 to the age 11, all I seen my father do was beat my mother, her laying in puddles of blood, the police coming into the household, getting them out of there, and that type of lifestyle, So, I had a father that I hated with a passion. I despised him. I remember at the age of 7, I used to conspire how I'm going to kill this guy when I grow up. That's how much anger and bitterness. A father never told me he loved me, never had me on his knee. I can't ever remember him spending $10 on me. So I was very bitter and angry. At the age of 10, I started using drugs. My first 9 years of living was pure hell. By the time I got 10 years old, I needed something to make me feel good because the first 9 years of living was pure hell. Anyway, that lasted from the age 10 to the age 32. Now, during that time, from the age 10 to the age 32, me being caught up in drug addiction, that led me in and out of the criminal justice system because of the mere fact I had to do different things to obtain money, to get high. So, I was in and out of that there penal system. But this is what's strange. I went to prison at the age of 32 for killing a man over 19 bags of cocaine. Up until that there point, I was in and out of prison doing a 5 to 10 here, 1 to 3 here. So by the time I was sentenced to 40 years, I had gave this diabolical prison system already like 15 years of my life.
Wow.
System, So now at the age of 32, I go to prison. I'm sentenced to 40 years in Summers, the maximum security prison in Connecticut. When I get there, it's just like I want to ask you one question. If you, tomorrow morning, you wake up blind, do you think that would alter your life?
Of course.
And more than likely, anybody in your life that love you and care about you, more than likely it would alter their lives somewhat also.
Exactly.
Right? Well, when I went to prison poor, uneducated, and unskilled, and I was illiterate. Meaning that at the age of 32, when I went to prison, I was on the reading level of a third grader. I had a third grade reading level, meaning my comprehension level is at rock bottom. I have no desire for science, no desire for mathematics, no desire for history. But what happened when I got to prison, there were some guys who took interest in me that came from the same community and knew my family. And what happened, they taught me how to read. Within 7 years, I took a GED test with over 250 guys And not only did I receive my GED, but I had the highest test scores of all the guys who took their GED. Not only that did I go on to Asnuntuck Community College, but I wrote up programs called Culture Affairs Services that bring in the different programs for the different ethnic groups. And I started the Black History program in the state of Connecticut, and I wrote up the Family Photo program, which still make money for the state today. So here I am in prison. I'm involved in all these. I'm writing up all these programs. I'm getting a lot of media press from prison of the programs that I'm writing out. But in 1991, the Connecticut Board of Pardons commuted my sentence by 10 years. That allowed me to go to a program in Connecticut called pre-release. For 3.5 years, I was only incarcerated for 26 hours a week. I spent my time in seminary school, which I graduated from. I started out at Blue Ridge Treatment Center as a volunteer and became a drug counselor. There, I went for my certification as a drug and alcohol counselor. I did all this while I was on pre-release. But now, let me tell you what's really strange. The mayor of Hartford appointed me to the Alcohol and Drug Abuse Commission in the city of Hartford in 1992. And the city council approved me. Not only that, in 6 months, the 17-man commission, they voted me in as chairman of the Alcohol and Drug Abuse Commission in the city of Hartford. I'm in jail on pre-release setting drug policy for the city of Hartford, in jail. You know, I graduated.
Wow.
And just see, when the guy wake up blind and his whole life changes, is altered, when I learned how to read, my whole life was just like the guy who woke up blind. My whole life was altered when I learned how to read. Now, let me connect some of the dots of this here. Why I'm running in and out of prison. 80% of the people in prison right now today never completed grade school. 80%. There's a recidivism rate, meaning that people that's in prison get out and come back. It's almost 75 to 80%. These same people that's getting out, coming back, is functional, illiterate. They can't pass a test, a proficiency test, let alone at gold or advanced. So we never connected the dots with these guys going in and out of prison with literacy, because when they go in and out of prison, when they get out, who's going to hire them? Who's going to give them a job? Not NASA, not Wall Street, not the big insurance companies. So when they get out of prison, they only have one thing that they possibly can do. They could even throw a brick, rob somebody, or break in people's homes, or sell drugs and end up getting arrested and back in prison, because that's not going to last long, selling drugs, breaking people's homes, and robbing people. So here it is, these guys going in and out of prison because we never connected the dots and saying, wait a minute, these guys are illiterate. If we don't teach these guys how to read, where we could begin to alter their lives, we'll never be able to alter their children's lives, because their kids are going to be affected by them not knowing how to read. And
now, here's a question for you.
Go ahead.
Here's a question for you, because, wow, that's deep. But for someone like me, I was one of the brainiac kids in school. You know, I was smart. I could pick up real easily. But one of the things, and I'm a 70s baby, one of the things about being tough and being so-called a man was the fact that our culture always sees education of those who are smart as either people who are selling out, and they wasn't keeping it real. You know, they wasn't true to the set. They ain't repping the homies. They ain't repping the streets. How is it that that particular attitude gets to be dismantled of such if illiteracy is the major problem? Because from what I'm understanding and from what I've experienced, some folks want to be quote-unquote dumb, for lack of a better word. Or is that the cover that they're using to be all strong or whatever, because they can't read, or maybe they want to but are afraid to ask because it may seem to be a sign of weakness to, you know what I mean? Because that whole masculine machismo thing kicks in.
Here go a guy, a little kid in the 5th grade, 4th, 5th grade. The teacher put him in the front of the class to read. He can't read. He's angry. He's bitter. He is ashamed. He feels guilty. So what do? He becomes the class clown Why? So he could end up in the principal office instead of being in the classroom.
Instead of reading.
Because in the classroom, he's made to feel like he's nothing, he's nobody, he's dumb, he's stupid, and he got his peers laughing at him. So what do?
Ooh.
All these years, he become the class clown or the bully, in and out of the principal office. As a matter of fact, the people in the principal office, all the secretaries, they know him by his first name or her by their first name. They like their family. Here we come again. Because he's like family. He ends up in the principal office because he can't read. Now, this lasted the 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, and then when he become of age where he in and out of that juvenile system as well as the prison system. Now, take this same guy that becomes the class clown or the bully because he can't read.
Mm-hmm.
See, going to the principal office makes him feel good because being in the classroom don't make him feel good. When he get to be about 13 years old, he have sex with a woman, not because he really like this woman or enjoy this woman or love this woman. He's doing things that makes him feel good.
Feel good.
He
Interesting.
associate everything with feeling bad. Now he come across something that makes him feel good, like going to the principal office.
Mm-hmm.
And so here go a kid. These kids is lost in the shuffle. Because nobody is connecting the dots and say, wait a minute, these kids can't read. Even today, we talk about education. If I line up 15 people and you ask 15 people about education, their definitions, we might come up with 15 definitions of what education means to those particular individuals. The key here is this: how do we talk to kids about education that don't know how to read? We're trying to get money pumped into a system to kids that don't know how to read. Nobody is testing these kids. Nobody connecting the dots. So what we have is the invisible elephant in the room. Everybody see the elephant, but we don't talk about it.
Don't want to talk about it, right?
I don't know about when you was growing. You said you're a 70s baby. I was born in 1950, so I grew up in the, the early, the 60s and 70s, So this is, I guarantee you that on Christmas, if just say $50 billion is spent on Christmas, people buying toys and everything, think back. How many people in your community that you knew their family was buying them books? They didn't buy them books because they knew deep down inside their kids couldn't read, but they didn't want to talk about it because of the shame and guilt that's attached. What parent want to say my kid can't read back in the 60s or 70s? So the parents kept this stuff to themselves because of the shame and because of the guilt. But that's why they didn't buy them books. They brought them toys, they brought them clothes, but they didn't buy them books. But now you flip the script. Go to other communities, especially Asian community, Chinese, white communities. Their parents was buying them books because they knew they could read them.
But that's interesting because here's something that, when I was a kid, I remember I had my uncle, my great uncle. I knew he was the one who couldn't read. He couldn't read. He couldn't write. And what you have just described, and I didn't think about this, is how back when I call it a slave mentality, because when blacks were taught not to read, and I was about to say a sin, but it was against the law for blacks to learn how to read and learn how to write. My grandparents and my great-grandparents were in that particular generation. But they encouraged us to do better. As the laws changed, as integration changed, we were able to go to school and this, that, and the other. By the time my generation became parents, I don't know what the disconnect is, because my parents, they were all about education, but I don't know, where do you think we may have lost that disconnect? Because, being the 60s, I was born in 1970, so, you were the Black Power generation. You were the, power for the people and encouraging, our people to come together. Our people was about families. It was about uplifting. It was about, making sure affirmative action was fair and all of that. But then y'all had kids. That's where my generation come in. And then somewhere between that and then my generation becoming parents, there's a disconnect with the educational system and the value of education. Where do you think that disconnect is, and how can we rebuild that?
First of all, there never was a connection. See, this is what a person made a statement one time, says, the problem with us, we don't own our educational system. Well, the bottom line is we never owned it. It never was ours. It never was geared towards us. It never was for us. I'm going to tell you something that what segregation, what integration did. During segregation, when a black child went to school, when they looked in front of their class, they looked at somebody that looked just like them. Not only did the person look just like them, the person invested in them. The person taught them a little bit about some history, some culture, things like that. When integration came, all those teachers lost their jobs. So when the kid went to school and looked in front of the classroom now, it wasn't people looking like them anymore. It wasn't people that was invested in them anymore. It wasn't people that's teaching them about culture and all those things. That was gone. That was gone. So we never owned our system. We never had the system. The system was never geared towards us. And here goes shocking. Even in the Constitution of the United States, you, me, or no one else can find in the Constitution where it says that people are guaranteed an education. You can't find that.
You're right on that one.
Even in 1954 with Brown versus the Board of Education, that most people thought we won. Well, if we won in 1954, we still wouldn't be fighting the same fight in 2011. Right here in Connecticut, there's the same case, Sheff versus O'Neill. The same case that was fought in 1954. And what's sad about this here, when we talk about politicians or people we don't trust, in 1995, with Sheff versus O'Neill, when it went to court, at the trial, Sheff lost. The attorney general that argued for the state of Connecticut was Richard Blumenthal. He was the attorney general. Governor John Rowland was the governor of Connecticut. When they lost the case, on the front page of the Hartford Courant, the governor and the attorney general is on the front page with champagne glass. They was toasting the victory because Sheff didn't win. Now, this is how quick black people forget. Dick Blumenthal runs last year for United States Senator. We ran out in droves to vote for Dick Blumenthal, the one that we know how he feel about black kids, what he feel about education, what the governor felt about education when it came to Sheff versus O'Neill. The same case we fought in 1954. And in New York, in California, in every urban city in America, that we still fighting those same kind of cases in those states that we supposed to won in 1954. In every state, there's an education bill up. And why should it be that if we won in 1954? We didn't win in 1954.
Now, that's interesting. Very interesting perspective. Now, and something that I may have to, okay. Wow. Because what I'm hearing is that it's all about a default and a technicality. That's what I'm hearing. And if that's the case, then that means, I really don't like defaults, technicalities, because a technicality ends up being, all these little lawyer tricks and the way how this is worded and this, that, and the other. And it really doesn't have any merit. You just got through by the skin of your teeth. And so if that there be the case, then that means that all of this time, it would make sense, because there has, the fight to get black history taught in classes, where we went from Black History Week, because I was in school during that time when it was just a week, to it became a full month, and it ain't even a whole month because February is the shortest month, okay? And understanding that, what is not in the history books with the African-American contribution, and now, because the Latino community has become, they just said this on the news the other day, that according to this past census, that the Latino community is now the number one minority here, and they are above. They become number 2, and blacks have become number 3 in this country as far as the numbers are concerned. But even with that being the case now, that we have to contend with them as people of color, which they are, but their history is not in the books. But our particular culture here is not being enforced, it's not being reinforced, it's not being franchised or whatever. We're still on a disenfranchisement of the entire system when it comes down to education. Even so, when we go out for jobs or whatever, if you have the same qualifications, because you're black, you're still considered to be, at risk, higher or anything like that. So here's the question. At this particular stage of the game, where is it that we can start to value education with the same value system that it once had? Because education, period, doesn't have any value. The dope dealers on the corner now, you can't compete with that, because folks who have college degrees don't even make the same kind of money that dope dealers make on the street corners now. Kids now are looking for a quick fix. We got teachers now who are faltering. They don't even have teach anymore. They let the folks slide on through the cracks or whatever because they're tired of them. They don't want to educate them. They don't want to teach them. They don't want to deal with any kind of problems such as dyslexia or whatever. So where is it that we need to build education back to its glory? Or do we need to scrap trying to go back to it and just start over and get education to be a place of value?
I am one. People might not want to hear this or like this. I am one that's saying we got to scrap, just get rid of a lot of stuff. See, this is the key.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about even black history. Why do you think kids is not interested in black history? You're not interested in something when you can't read about it. You can't read. What is good talking to people about black history? They can't read. In prison, I started black history in 1989.
Mm-hmm.
And we used to put on black history programs. I mean, the warden gave us the whole entire month. So out of the 28 days, like every February, we had at least 24 days where somebody was coming in doing different things. At least 24 days out of the 28. But when we passed out information about different people, we passed out all this information. In every black history program, you had over 300 people that would attend at the maximum security prison. And all the paper we pass out, you would be shocked at all the information is just left on the benches, left on the floor. They're not taking it back to themselves. They can't read. That's why they leave it there. They can't read. We want to teach kids about history, and they can't read. See, we talk about education, and this is the key. Talking about education to me is like hustling backwards, throwing good money after bad money. Because what happens, we want to throw all this money at education to people that can't read. Let's get on one accord and say, let's test our kids. Let's find out where they at so that we know that the children that can't read, now we could begin to do something to alter the rest of their life. But if we keep talking about education, keep talking about pumping money into education, education don't mean anything to somebody that can't read. So we got to start at the ground level. We got to start at the ground level, meaning that people in society, all these experts who I call experts at nothing, because they're not talking about testing our kids. They're not talking about literacy. They talk about education and things of that nature, but they're not talking about the number one problem that we have to deal with. I call literacy a disease that's running rampant in our community, but the good news about this particular disease is curable if we get people tested. Now, I don't know if people know, for the first time we have a site called testourkids.com. That's where people could go to this here site, and for the first time, parents could sit down with their children and see the test scores for themselves. They don't have to worry about some teacher giving them some test scores or somebody we don't trust coming up with test scores, because as you know, we live in a society, especially black people, we have a big thing about when it comes to this thing called testing, because we know what happened to black people when it came to this thing called testing about anything from HIV on down. So for the first time, we could go to testourkids.com, see all the different, and sit down and get your kid tested. If that doesn't take place, these mothers going to continue going to prison, visiting their sons and daughters. They're going to continue going to these funeral parlors, visiting their kids in a casket, because we won't make the association or connect the dots between literacy in prison, literacy in gang violence, literacy in babies having babies, and literacy in babies killing babies. You take all these kids in the juvenile justice system, I guarantee if you test them, 87% just about them will be functional illiterates.
Wow. Now, what does this test consist of? Because one of the things that I know is that some kids don't test well. Other kids, like I said, with, learning disabilities or, as far as dyslexia, as far as comprehension is concerned, what is it that this test will do that will give parents the edge?
Well, and the thing about when you go to testourkids.com, the thing about that, they deal with all those different issues about the the comprehension of a person. They deal with a person, if what they call this thing, dyslexia, but they got all these different things on there that when the parents say if a kid have a particular disease, they know just what to do. And the test is by people that look just like us, that people that is confident, people that want to see this disease eradicated in our community. So for the first time, we have a jump that the test's going to be fitted to the person themselves. Wherever they at, whatever their needs are, the test's going to be fitted for them. So they parent know that it's not some test given that there's no way my kid can pass. No way. And those are the kind of tests we've been taking that we can't pass, whether it's in school or whatever. So the good thing about it is that a parent could go to testourkids.com and they could see all the different things, the breakdown, and they'll be able to talk to somebody. I have a publicist, Yusef, which that's he's doing, he's responsible, him and others, for this particular website. And Yusef, he's just, so he's on this here journey about literacy as myself and a lot of other people, around the country that's on this here thing about literacy. So Yusef, he's respected, and people could depend on him and count on him because he's trying to eradicate this thing called illiteracy.
Yeah, I had a few weeks ago, I had a guy, Brother Umar Abdullah Johnson was my guest. And he was saying something about this as well, about, the testing. If we can get up in here and to test our kids properly, then we can get a better assessment. And I didn't say this to him then, but as you say it now, I'm reminded of an episode of Good Times where the comprehension test, or I think it was the state equivalent, the IQ test or something.
Yeah.
And in that, they were saying that, how the tests were always different. There was a white test, and it was giving it to black kids or whatever, that made no sense because of the cultural differences. And many black kids were failing the test because of the cultural analogies and stuff within that test. Now, that, like I said, I'm reminded of that. And to note, like I said, that was a Good Times episode, so, that's back in 74, 75. So here we are in 2011, and to hear that same argument, the more things change, I guess the more things stay the same, huh?
Especially when it comes, when it comes to this thing called literacy. Right now in Connecticut or any other state, they always say this here. 12 years from now, we have to build another prison. Now, how can somebody come up to be able to say 12 years into the future, we need to build a prison? It's because what the system clearly understands is this here, is that our children is targeted for prison at the third grade because they know they leaving the third grade, can't read, they know they going to prison. They know in 12 years from now we got to build another prison. That's why they make those statements now. And people sit back and don't even say, how can they make that, come up with something like that now, talk about 12 years from now? How do they do that? Well, it's very simple because we don't connect the dots between literacy and prison.
Interesting. Now let me play devil's advocate real quick, because here, I know, and I'm one of these people who think this, okay? And that is, as a taxpayer, we know that the prison systems, we know they get full, we know they're overcrowded and this, that, and the other, but yet at the same time, is this a myth? Let me ask you, because I've never been there. I just know what is projected in the media. What is projected is that the education there is better because, of course, everybody has nothing but time. So if they utilize the time, they can get educated, they can get degreed. You know, they have not necessarily the best, but the education system in the prisons is now far superior than what's out here on the outside. So where is the campaign for those who are already in prison to take advantage of that if prison is supposed to be for rehabilitation?
Listen, this is the key. See, what a lot of us, our people, don't do, we don't deal with stuff that's scientific. We don't deal in science. We don't deal in science.
Okay.
The way you think is who you are because the way you think comes out in your behavior. That's scientific. It's scientific. I don't care who you are. So if you take a kid from the time he enter our school system, okay, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, then when he get to fourth, fifth, he's all messed up. He's always in the principal office. But anyway, look here, scientifically, he's been beat down. He's been feel ashamed, guilty, don't like who he is. He don't want to be in school and everything. By the time he gets to prison, do you think scientifically says that he's not going to change, his mind is not going to change like that? Why you think 80% keep coming back? You see, it's scientific. You've been beat down, stripped, robbed, humiliated, degraded. You've been like this in the first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade. By the time you get to prison, you're not thinking about no school.
Okay.
It's scientific. Look at in Vietnam, they used to have this thing called the tiger cage. What they used to do with the POWs, they used to put them in this here. It's like a prison, but it got bars on it. But you used to walk around with this here thing all day long. It's called the tiger cage. Why do you think a 12-year-old kid can look you in the eye and say, I don't care about going to prison. I don't care if you send me to prison. When you've been in a tiger cage all your life, you've been in prison all your life, and then you're going to come and threaten me with prison? That don't mean anything to me. I've been in a tiger cage all my life. That's scientific.
Interesting
scientific.
Point. Very interesting.
We just people, for some reason, we don't deal in science. Scientific. We go all the way back to the Jim Crow laws. The one thing that is perfectly clear, that, as you said, black people, it was taboo for them to learn how to read and write. Now, guess what? Who were the ones that was preventing them from reading and writing? Judges, legislators, lawyers.
Ooh, you went there.
All the way back then. Now let's keep that.
Yes, you're right.
Let's move on up. We keep moving because we don't deal in science. We don't deal in.
Ooh, I hear what you go and say this.
So now we come all the way up. We come all the way back up, even with Frederick Douglass, because Frederick Douglass thought slavery was all right. He said this in his book. He thought slavery was all right until he learned how to read. Not only did he thought slavery was all right, he thought that was God's plan for black people to be enslaved.
That's what was taught, yeah.
He said, but when he learned how to read, he found out just how bad slavery really was. But now, going back, these lawyers, legislators, and these judges passed these laws. Even when time 1954 come around, who kept enforcing those laws? Judges, lawyers, legislators. And when you bring up, just if you brought up the word education, you thought you talking about killing somebody because they came out in groves to fight black people from being educated, from black people learning how to read. Judges, lawyers, legislators. So let's go from 1954. We can even come all the way up to 2011. When you talk about education, who coming up against you? Lawyers, judges,
right,
legislators. Scientifically, man, and history tells us that lawyers, judges, and legislators have always fought against you and I learning how to read or to become educated.
Mm-hmm.
Now we want these same people to say, give us some justice. And they say, they looking at us like to say, you got to be out of your mind. You got to be out of your mind.
Let me ask this, because as I'm hearing you say that, see, and Brother Umar said this too, that this had become a systematic game here. But let me ask this, particularly with the dynamic with black men, because like I said earlier, you know, black men have always, I really wish that the definition of masculinity becomes broad and becomes redefined or something, because our culture has seemed to have taken masculinity, the definition of masculinity, and we have run so far to the left with it, to where anything that does not fit within those parameters of being a man, quote unquote, is considered to be weak, is considered to be sissified, is considered to be selling out. So the idea of the black man being illiterate at this stage of the game, why is it that it seems that it's more so targeted with black men than any other dynamic within the world? Because black women, even though they go to prison, black women seem to be more, at least a little bit more educated or more knowledgeable than black men. And, of course, our counterparts have all surpassed all that. So why is it that there's this disconnect with black men specifically?
Well, I don't want to deviate much from the subject, but let me answer that for you. Is this here? To the white man or the administrators who's in power, it was always, see, black men has always represented a threat where women don't represent a threat. Let's go all the way back to slavery. Look at it. The white man took the black man and put him in the field, took the black woman and put her in the kitchen, propping the woman up over the man. He would always felt comfortable letting the woman in and keeping the man out, because it do two things. Let's keep out the one that really is considered as a threat to us, keep him out, and at the same time, we could keep controversy going on between the black men and women. Let's keep them at odds against each other, and at the same time, let's keep the one down that's a threat to us. So even with our news, when you could see on the newscast when I was growing up, when a black person became anchored, you could see black women sitting next to white men.
White men, that's
but
right.
You didn't see the black man sitting next to the white woman.
Sitting next to a white female. You better say that.
Felt as a threat. So the target has always been black men. They always been the target. And if you believe in the creation, Adam and Eve, the target has always been against the man all the way back to the garden. That hasn't changed. Scientific and history tells us that. Science and history. So, but the thing is this here. If we want men to become men, and we want men to live up to the real definition of what masculine being is, let's teach them how to read. And I guarantee you, for 80% of them more, their entire world will become altered. They will totally become different. Now, if this is going to happen, I believe wholeheartedly that it's going to take the black woman to do this here, because I believe
that too.
I believe mothers is our last line of defense. And I say that because 67% of all black households is headed by the female. meaning that men are missing in action. And our children, our babies is not saying, Daddy, help me. They are saying, Mommy, help me. If Mommy don't get the information that we need to get to Mommy, because if we get the information to the mothers, I believe wholeheartedly that mothers will step up to the plate, going to fight for their babies and going to do whatever it takes or whatever is necessary not to go visit their kids at prison. Because if there's some mother listening to this program, if she get honest with herself, or some woman listen to this here program that's married and her husband or her baby's father been running in and out of prison, that wife or that girlfriend know he's ready to be released and he's ready to go right back on the merry-go-round because she know in her heart why he kept going in and out of prison and he can't read. That mother know that her son been going in and out of prison and she know he can't read. So our last line of defense, if we get the information to the mothers, I honestly believe that this entire thing called literacy, man, would take on a whole new definition. I believe that.
Wow. I'm going to have to agree with you on that. I will definitely agree with you on that. Now, here's another thing. Because, as you said earlier, within the education system, there's very little representation of us in the school systems. Okay, and then for those all predominantly black schools now, there still are no black male teachers outside of them being the football coaches or, dealing with any aspect of sports. They have taken away all of the music departments and things out of the schools now. They've taken away the wood shops and all of that because there was always a man teacher for that. But anything else, there are no black male teachers. So do we attribute that to illiteracy as well, or do we attribute that to just part of the systematic scientific reason of them just Xing out the black man in this equation?
Nearly 2 million black men are in prison. Let me say that again. Nearly 2 million black men are in prison. 87% of those 2 million men in prison never completed grade school. How is black men going to become teachers?
Teachers.
How?
Wow. Ain't that deep?
I mean,
that
if we
is
keep
deep, man.
Because we talk about a lot of stuff, and a lot of stuff is designed for us to defocus from the mere fact that 87% of our kids can't read. You know what I would like for somebody to do that's listening to this show? I would like, wherever I go, man, whether I'm talking in churches, before people, juveniles, before prisoners, people on drugs, I want somebody to prove me a liar. This is one time I want somebody to prove me a liar, man. I want to be a liar about all this stuff. And the sad thing about it, man, I keep asking myself, what is it going to take to embarrass the black community? Listen, man, if 87% of our beauty parlors close down today and 87% of our barbershops close down, you'll have black men and black women out in the street protesting. If McDonald's closed down, we'll protest. But we're not going to protest about 87% of our kids can't read.
Wow, ain't that... Now, see, you done hit something there. You hit something there because we're still in the shame of it. Now, here's the thing. How do we get the parents who can't read, that can't teach their kids how to read? Where? I don't know. We said the mothers. At this particular stage of it, for the generation to come, it's got to start with our mothers because of the household being predominantly single-parent female households. Now, is there a possibility of going retrospective on it? You know, for those who can't read, for the parents who can't read, who come up in the generation that they dropped out of school, worked in the plant all their life, now that we are not out of the Industrial Revolution and the plants, it ain't easy to just drop out of school and go into the plant these days and still can earn a decent living or whatever. We're in a technological age now to where the associate's degree from college is now the new high school diploma. Where do we connect that at? How do we connect those dots to where somebody who is my age and above, I'm 41 and above, can still get the benefit of learning and becoming literate without feeling all of the embarrassment, the shame, the oh my God, I shoulda, coulda, woulda, and all of that? How do we bridge that gap? How do we connect those dots?
Okay, this is one thing I believe we have to do wholeheartedly, because I believe exactly what you said. There's a lot of parents out of the loop. They can't read themselves. It's like if the parent can't read, they definitely can't teach their children how to read. This is what it is. Everybody listening to this here show, including you, me, everybody. When this show is over with, everybody that says they agree, all they got to do is go get one person to get them tested. Not 3, not 4, not 5. So you know Miss Sally down the street, or brother so-and-so, you know he's ill. You know he's been going in. Why don't you go and get one of his kids and say, I'm going to get him tested? See, it don't cost no money. All we got to do is become committed. If you agree with me, and when the show is over and you don't go get somebody, what good is this talk? What good is it?
Very good point. Okay.
We learn about something, then we go back to business as usual. So everybody that agree with me, that say, you know, that brother is right, he's right on, don't agree with me, and then when the radio show program over, you go back to business as usual. If you're not going to get one person, whether it's your niece, your nephew, your sister, your brother, or the person that lives down the street, if you don't go get them and get them tested, then we shouldn't say anything else about the problem, because now we are the problem.
How about that one? All right, hold on. We're going to take a call right now. I got someone calling in that wants to address this situation. I'm coming to you, 313-371. 313-371. You're on the air. You're dishing tea with Big Meach. Hello.
Hello, darling. How are you?
Hey,
Praise
darling.
the Lord to you.
Praise the Lord. How are you?
I'm blessed and highly favored. You haven't returned my call, and you haven't answered my mail that I sent to you.
Yes. Well, she's going to blast. This is my aunt, y'all. She blasted me on the air. Okay.
That's right. And I'm an old lady, and it starts in the home. The parents they don't put it into force with the children and being interested in their education. I have my grandkids are here with me now, my great-grandkids, and their mother is interested in them getting an education. She's up on their grades, she's up on their reading, she's up on everything. That's where it starts at. So if the mother or the father is not interested in them, even though they don't have an education, and seeing to their children have one, it needs to start in the home. It's not so much as the teachers in the school. If you don't follow up on your child, if you don't put it in their heads and do it, then that's where it needs to be. We need someone to go into the homes and intercede and teach these mothers, talk to these mothers, set up a program for these mothers so they will be responsible and interested in their kids having something better than what they have. That's where it comes from. And as he's saying about the women and the men, the women always have been smarter. That's how come Eve got him to eat of the forbidden fruit. They always had a little influence. And the reason they put the women in there, the men, they put the women in the house so they could get to the man's woman. And the reason they put the men in the field was to keep them away from their woman. Because them white women was after them black men. And the men was after them black women. And they put the women so close to where they could get to them. They would go in and kick the men out of the house and lay with their wives. Right. Wow. So they've been dominant over us, but a lot of us had sense enough. The woman, Harriet Tubman, she had sense enough to get all of them from out of slavery. Look at all them she saved. You know, so we have to be and have to teach our people to have sense enough to grab the crumbs that they're offering us and be able to intercede into our children and put that seed into them that they want to learn. That's the only way they're going to make it, is through learning. All right. And get a higher education and have 2 to 3 degrees in whatever it is, so when they knock one down, they can go to another one.
How about that one? All right.
That's what I teach them. That's what I tell them. I don't have any degrees. I don't have that much learning skill either. But I put that insanity into my children.
Well, all right. I know you did, because you did that.
And that's where it comes from. And that's what we need. That's what we need to do. Talk to get these mothers, because half of the mothers on drugs. Or they out there in the streets doing something else. They're not even, half of the kids want to learn. They don't even have nobody to make them go to school. The mothers don't care. Either they laying up high or trying to get off a high. Don't know whether they're going to school or not. We need to get these mothers.
There, Auntie.
Huh?
I said, you got a point there.
Yeah, need to get these mothers. Get some kind of organization to see about and make these mothers come up to the plate.
Well, all right. Well, on that one, I got 2 more callers coming in.
Okay. You all have a blessed and prosperous day, and I agree with you on a lot of what you're saying, young man. And you on keeping on doing what you're doing, and try to get to these mothers.
You have a blessed day, man.
You too, darling.
Okay. All right.
God bless.
God bless. All right, I'm going here.
Let me just say.
Go ahead.
I just want to say something. You know, so often we got so much ills going on in our community. You know, that it's so easy for us to get defocused. You know, on a lot. See, this is what happened. You shoot me, then you blame me for not going to the hospital.
Okay.
You blame me. Then you turn around and blame me for not going to the hospital. It's the same way with the parents. See, we turn around and blame the parents. It's just like shooting them and then blaming them for not going to the hospital. See, something has been inflicted upon them, which I said is scientific and it's historical. That's been inflicted upon them. And it's going to be impossible for a mother that's illiterate to teach her child how to become literate. Now, the thing is this here. It goes back to what I said, that those of us who say and agree with the problem, at the end of the day, if you don't go get one of them mothers that you know about and say, and talk to them and say, listen, if we're going to change this thing around, that maybe it's time for you to get rid of some of this pride. Let's go and let me get you tested so that you could be helpful to your children, so we could know how you do it, however you say it. But if at the end of the day we don't go get somebody, what good is all that we know or all that we say? It don't mean anything. You understand what I'm saying? Because the bottom line is this here, man. If we don't get kids tested, look at everybody listening to this radio show should be in shock, should be saying, what? 87% of our kids, what? I mean,
exactly.
Not only should they be in shock, but if they get honest with themselves and they just reflect even on themselves growing up and in school, they will see how they weren't even taught. After you get reading classes in the first, second, and third grade. After the third grade, you get some reading, but there is no reading classes. Meaning this
That's
is,
right. You're right.
Third grade and into the fourth grade. If I don't have a desire to read when I leave the third grade, my comprehension is at rock bottom, my writing skills is low, I don't have no desire for history, no desire for science, and I don't have any desire for history. When you leave the third grade, if a person don't know how to read, they lost in the shuffle. And that's what we got to understand is reading. If we don't deal with literacy like it's the number one, which it is, it's the number one disease that is running rampant in our community, and we talk about everything else but teaching our kids how to read.
Wow.
Nothing is ever going to change if they don't learn how to read. Their lives will never become altered, and they will never alter other people in their lives, especially if they have children, because what illiterate person could sit down and do problems with their kids? Kid brings school, work home from school. You can't get involved with them. You can't sit down with them and teach them and talk to them about mathematics and science, whatever it is. You can't do it. You make excuses for not doing it. You make excuses for not being there. Come on. It is literacy. It's a killer. It's a killer. It's killing our community. Men is going to prison, man, at a large number. 2 million men in prison, and nobody is embarrassed. Nobody is shocked. Nobody is angry. Nobody is upset.
Right. It's become the norm. Exactly. It's become just a rite of passage now.
Yeah, it is.
It's just a rite of passage. Wow. Here, let's take this call here. Someone is on the computer because the numbers are all ones. So I'm coming to you. Yep, you're on the air. You're dishing tea with Big Meach, and say hello to Reverend Price. Hello, caller.
Hello.
Yep, hello. Soft voice, I got you.
I'm just sitting here in shock myself listening to this. This is absolutely amazing to me. And as you know, Big Meach, I am a black man dealing with some of these very same issues. And I'm listening to the Reverend, and, you know, oftentimes it makes men, especially single-parent men, think, where did we go wrong? Because, you know, if nothing else, education is one of my foremost things.
Now, that's an interesting dynamic. Now, let me hear that from you. As a single-parent male, you know, we know what the single-parent household is when it's female-led. But as a single-parent, male-led household, when you're hearing this from Reverend Price, what does that dynamic mean to you, and where are you? Because I hear you say you're shocked, but where are you along in this equation? What does this mean to you? How does it, twist and turn within the fibers of your soul?
Well, personally, I think I've done everything that I could as far as my children are concerned in going to school. I have 2 older sons, which, of course, have graduated and went on to become very productive people in society. One is a state police, the other one's a chef in Kentucky. The middle son is, of course, the one that's giving me the biggest problem. And then, I have 2 younger children that are doing very well in school. So, just my main concern is about this one. And he's had problems all of his school years. And I've done the testing and had the testing done.
Now, here's the question. Which test? Because as the Reverend pointed out, there's this new test now that they have that's more accurate and it's more it's uniquely designed to identify the strengths and the weaknesses individually of each child. Would this be something you would consider? Because apparently, whatever these tests are, they're not adequately depicting the picture. And I've heard this over the years. I've heard this over the years about these tests, and having taken a lot of them, you know, coming up through school or whatever, it doesn't adequately say that we as a people or as black men are on the ride. Because as I remember in school, I graduated high school in '87, and at that time, we still had a nice decline of folks who were not testing well. There was still like a 40 to 52% percentile of those who may have passed the state tests or whatever. You know, all of those other particular tests that we were taking, it was always something about those tests that nobody made the connection.
And you're absolutely right. As being a nurse and an educator myself, we've talked about this many times, Meach, you and I. Now you're getting the picture of who I am, I think.
Yeah, I know you.
Well,
But
maybe not for him so much, but his other people probably, you know, falls under what Meach just talked about. A lot of, you know, don't even understand those tests. That's why a lot of us in our community, you know, when you say when the word test come up, man, we kind of fringe a little bit because we know what testing has done to us in the past, you know.
And I'm wondering if I've fallen short of grace, being an educator and a single parent. Because
interesting.
I'm thinking I'm giving all I have to give, and it's very possible that I have not.
Well, see, you know what? Here's the thing, and I don't want you to beat yourself up, because this here is the step to taking us over into the next elevation of all of this. Because now that this new website is there, www.testourkids.com, why don't you go there first? Investigate that, because what I'm hearing from all of this is that we have new tools that are being available that can get our kids the benefit that they need without it being prejudiced, without it being racially motivated or anything. We have new tools that are being introduced that need to go into the mainstream so that the kids can be given a chance. As you can see, they're too busy worried about closing down schools. I mean, hell,
well,
it doesn't make
here
sense.
In Detroit, it's horrible. I wish your guest would come to Detroit to speak. I know in Atlanta, Detroit, all around the country.
All the major cities, all the major inner cities, and I want you to pay attention to that. All the major inner cities that are black folk concentrated have the highest amount of schools that are being shut down and closed and everything across this country. And so if that's the case, then the education system is not being what it is. And this whole idea of illiteracy being the root, I'm so wanting to embrace this now because I can actually see that. When we were in school and they were doing that, I'm going to just pass you through nonsense because you done got old. You 17 years old and still in the ninth grade. And so now because you can play basketball and carrying on very well, they would just pass you through because you had the high score or whatever. They wanted to make sure you could stay on the team. They wanted to make sure you can be on the football team, whatever. That then was their way of quote-unquote getting us through. And then we have all these folks that we found out later couldn't read. And now that we have new tools, I'm going to encourage you. Go to this website that the Reverend just put up and see what that's about. Possibly take the test yourself and see where you are. And then now that you will see what it is that the system is all about, and then bring your son in and use this particular guide and see what this tool can do. Because I don't want you to beat yourself up over this. You know, after hearing this, it does become alarming, but this is not the time to beat yourself up. Let's just get the information and then let's do better.
And I just ask your guest one last question.
Go right ahead.
The son that I'm speaking of now is a senior in high school, getting ready to graduate next month. And we know through testing he can only read at a fourth grade level.
Wow. Because I was just getting ready to say something. You attested. See, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Let me give you something. This go blow your mind. Well, it may not blow your mind, but a lot of people listening. If you ask people, say, what do you think the graduation rate is for black historical colleges? And I asked the guy, one guy said, well, I guess it's got to be, maybe about 43%. Well, he's wrong. It's between 19 and 23%. I was doing an interview with a brother at Tennessee State. Do you know what the graduation rate is at Tennessee State? 11%. This is not no emotional stuff. This is raw data that you can get right off the computer yourself. Raw data. Look at it.
Wow.
Meaning this here. In inner city America, I don't care if it's Chicago, Detroit, California, New York, Connecticut, this is the key. When a kid graduates from the 12th grade in inner city America, more than likely they on an 8th to the 9th grade reading level. When they get into college and they get college reading material, they drop out their first year because they can't read. They graduating in the 12th grade on an 8th grade reading level, man. They can't make it in college. But that's not the statistic just for black historical colleges. If you look for colleges all over, when you're talking about people of color, the graduation rate is around 19%.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he's a prime example of the brother we talking to. His kid is getting ready to graduate from the 12th grade on a 4th grade reading level. That tells you with our graduation rate between 19 to 23% at black historical college and 19 to 23% with people of color, no matter what college you're in, that tells you literacy. We got to start dealing with that subject or we are doomed.
That's right.
Thank you for taking my question. I appreciate it.
All right, baby. Thanks for calling. I'm gonna call you back when I'm off the air. I'll call you or text you one.
All right.
Okay, thanks.
You said something, Meach, that's really right on that parents need to know. We don't want parents to beat themselves up. But I tell you what I would like to do. I would like to embarrass some people enough to say I'm going to do something about the problem. Because up to this point, we haven't been able to embarrass our community.
Okay, right. To make them want to look at it. Right, exactly. Because that's the only time people will put up a noise about it. Yeah. As if they feel as though they're embarrassed about it, or they put on Front Street, or their business is in the street. Yeah, that's something, ain't it? That's very wow. Okay, now hold on. I got one more call that's coming in, but before I bring the caller in, we're down to the last 2 minutes of the show. Now, we're going to keep talking. I'm going to say all of my thank yous and stuff now. Reverend Price, this is just absolutely fascinating for me. And I want to make sure that I'm on board with this because I'm so digging this concept. Now, I'm going to bring in the other caller. If you're listening by computer, the computer stream will stop in about 90 seconds or so. If you're listening by phone, you'll catch everything. But if you miss anything, everything is going to be in the archives. You'll find out where you can find Reverend Price and more information. We're going to put www.testourkids.com is the website to go to find out about the test and to test your children. And we'll have, you can catch all of this in the archives. And I'm going to go to this caller because I want to make sure I get here. 313-772. You're on the air. Hello.
Yes, you did. Well, God bless you all.
Hey, baby. Yeah, I got you. Go ahead.
All right. Well, due to your time constraints, I'll say, hey, how you doing, Mr. Pastor? And
no, you got it. Just keep on talking.
All right.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll include my question along with my comment. First, the comment is, as I was listening to this conversation, the thing that for me seemed to be overlooked is like, okay, you're talking about a very, very sensitive subject, and it's beautiful and honorable that you want people to step up and whatnot, but in our days and times, not that this is something new, however, it's in a way new to me. In our days and time, we've grown very hostile, and this is coming off of me having witnessed my very first shooting my very first shootout, not just 2 weeks ago, in an area where I have never witnessed such disorderly killings. However, what I'm going with this is, with this subject being so sensitive, and you guys advocating beautifully, mind you, to just go, down to Joe Blow Smith, who can't read. Now, right there's like either a punch out or a shootout coming. So you really, I'm wondering, is that being considered and or overlooked in this process of outreach?
Well,
good question.
The process of outreach. If I stay on the mountaintop, I ain't gonna never do nothing. I just got to go down in the valley if I want to make a change. See, we got two types of people. We got mountaintop people and we got valley people. Mountaintop people ain't gonna do nothing. They just gonna stay on the mountaintop. That means educators talk to educators. People that's doing good talk to people that's doing good. People who live in high-class communities deal with people in high-class communities. So they just keep stroking themselves, and nothing ever changed. Well, if something's going to change, I got to come off the mountaintop and go into the valley, and I just got to start taking some risks. I don't know what the end factor is going to be, but I know that if I talk about that I care, that I'm real, and that I'm honest, and I'm talking about I'm God-centered, then I got to come off the mountaintop and go in the valley and try to make a change.
Well, how about that one?
That's all I got to do, man. I
one?
can't stop thinking about, look at everything that happened to us in our families, in our communities, and everything that's going up. That's happening. The problem is we keep dealing with self. Self ain't gonna never do nothing until self die out of self.
Okay.
Self, and that's why nothing in our community changes. Everybody changes. Everybody is caught up on self. Nobody is. At the end of the day, I don't care how many people listening to this radio program. If they agree with me, if they don't go get somebody and get them tested, then they are part of the problem. It's just that simple.
Point blank.
Amen. Tell the truth. Well, at least stating your opinion very honestly.
Okay.
Well,
exactly.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Reverend. Part of my intention was to come on and be a little bit of the devil's advocate, because even though, like I said, I do agree with you, and that's a beautiful message you guys are, passing out there. I do know personally, having recently dealt with a mother who has a young child still in diapers at an older age, whereas in comparison to when I was younger, that was not tolerated. These are different times where people are doing different things, and the approach really does require you, I guess, to man up or woman up, which is something that is either dying out or becoming a huge problem within the black community specifically.
My best audience,
but you know what?
My best audience is the ones who play devil advocate. That's my best audience.
Right.
That's my best audience.
Okay. Here's my take on that, and that is the society that we live in now, the definition has changed. It's not so much that it has gone away. It's just that our priorities have changed, and what we tend to man up and woman up about is frivolous. It has nothing to do with nothing. If this whole thing of keeping it real, I'm on a soapbox with that. This whole thing of keeping it real is all just perpetuating ghetto BS. Okay, and all of the things and all of the negative isms and all of the things within this culture that we continuously say that white folks ain't got no business talking about because we ain't like that, we perpetuate it. And along with perpetuating it, we encourage it, because for you to get your street credit and for you to feel as though you are important or whatever, you have to have some kind of representation. That's why I'm on this bandwagon about illiteracy, because really and truly, the word ghetto has never meant anything dirty or nasty. It was an Italian word where the word ghetto comes from. So now we have taken something that actually it was given to us because it was supposed to have meant slums and degradation. And now we, as far as behavior modification is concerned, we've just taken another crumbs again and then just turn it into something versus saying, I don't have to deal with this anymore. That's slave mentality. And if you don't know that, then you ain't going to do nothing but keep on perpetuating it and having this cycle go over and over and over and over and over. And now this particular generation, which is my kids, this is my generation's kids, they have taken us and they've come new and improved. We were Generation X back in the day. The parent generation, Generation X. Now we got a generation, we don't know what the hell they are because they have taken and become new and improved on being badasses. And now, you know, the question that you raised as far as, you know, the approach and you know, being able to stand up to folks being resistant and maybe being physical and having some kind of altercation, when now everything about our culture dictates that because we have allowed it. Why? Because we have not been able to. We don't read history. We don't read current events. If it ain't told to us, we don't know it. Because we have become now a society where everything wants to be given to us. So, yes, I'm on this bandwagon.
Yes.
This is the key.
Overcrowding.
There is a diversion that people would love to take place. Now, see, I could talk about any subject. We could talk about prisons. We could talk about drugs, and people will go along. The moment you start talking about literacy, man, there's going to be a problem. It's because everybody clearly understands that if you deal with the literacy problem, that people's lives is going to start changing. So if we actually believe, say like if I actually believe that the white man is against me, if I actually believe that, it's not that he don't want to see me get $1 million. He know that if he could keep me illiterate, he got me. If that's what I believe in terms that somebody is against me. Everybody know in our community, if we keep people illiterate, we don't have to worry about that community or those people advancing, man. They will never advance. That's just the bottom line.
I like that word. Yep, you're right. Now, you know, I should have done this at the top of the show, but I'm glad I waited to the end. And that is, Reverend, give us your definition of illiteracy, because I know folks are probably sitting up there thinking that because we're not reading Dickens or Shakespeare, that means that we're illiterate because we don't understand all that. And I know that the definition is so simple it's complex, I'm sure, but give us the definition of illiteracy.
I believe that the definition of literacy is, because I want to say this without putting myself in a box. Because the last time I put myself in a box. Because when we talk about literacy, let me put it this way. Just like a car runs off of 4 or 6 cylinders or 8 cylinders, 6, 8 cylinders. This is what I believe. Human beings run off of 4 cylinders. The 4 cylinders is mathematics, science, history, and literacy. People who are literate will usually get into a mathematical conversation, a scientific conversation, and a historical conversation, but people who are illiterate, they don't get in mathematical conversations, scientific conversations, nor historical conversations. When is the last time, let's be honest, ask yourself, when is the last time I've been in a mathematical conversation? Well, if you can't remember the last time you've been in one, what makes you think a person 17 years old been in one? If you can't remember the last time you've been into a scientific conversation, what makes you think a 17-year-old or a 15-year-old? If you've never been into a historical conversation lately, what makes you think a 12-year-old is into a historical conversation? Because everything we talk about has to have a historical base to it. If it don't have a historical base to it, I don't have to listen to you. So if I don't know history, how am I going to deal with historical stuff? If I don't know anything about mathematics, which everything is mathematics, driving a car, walking, talking, everything is mathematics. Everything is scientific. But people that's illiterate will never get into those kind of conversations because they're not running. A lot of them is not running off any cylinders.
Hot damn. Wow, what a perfect way to end that. Now, Reverend, I want you to give everybody your information, where they can contact you, where they can find out more about testing our kids. Flood the folks with your information.
Well, I have a publicist, Yusef. His name is Yusef, and he's at 860-997-6802. Because Yusef, I'm always around doing speaking events. I'm dealing with people, and somebody is always calling me to come talk before this group or this group, and I'm doing interviews, and I'm a being a magazine. I'm gonna be in a magazine. I know next month a magazine coming out. But anyway, 860-997-6802. I have a website called GodIsCallingMen.com. What I'm doing with God is Calling Men to Freedom. But if you want to get in touch with me and you want to do anything, just call Yusef at 860-997-6802. And before I get off, I can't get off without dealing with people that are ministers and pastors out there. I got to say this here.
Please do.
I got to say this here. If in urban America, if you look at all these storefront churches we have in urban America, they've been having church fund building services for the last 15 years. No new church built yet. You know why? Because in these churches, 87% of the people in church can't read at a proficiency test. They can't pass a proficiency test. Meaning that, how is you going to build a church on people, 87% don't have jobs or have jobs that pay minimum wage? Not only is it's going to take you 30 years to build a church because people can't read. They can't even read the Bible, let alone read something else. It would seem to me that the preachers, the pastors, would want their congregation to know how to read the Bible. A lot of these people, they come to church with a Bible, but they never open it up because
never open it. It's a death.
The only reason they walk with it in it because they don't want to feel embarrassed or looked at people looking at them funny, so they walk into church with their Bibles, but they don't open them up. When you say go to a passage, they just open up their Bible. They don't go there; they just open it up because they can't.
Right.
They can't read. So in inner city America, these pastors have been having these here building fund services for the past 15, 20 years and no new church built yet. That is a prime reason why, because 87% of the congregation in these storefront churches can't read, and they have minimum wage paying jobs or they don't have any jobs at all, so they can't pay no a large amount in tithes or give in offerings. They can't do it. They ain't got nothing to give.
How about it? Now, that's real talk right there. Real talk. Wow.
TestOurKids.com. TestOurKids.com. Its Yusef number, again, is 860-997-6802. People that want to talk to me, people that want to if people want to just write to me, if they just want to write to me, they could do that at Box 122, Norwich, Connecticut. Box 122, Norwich, Connecticut, and the zip code is 06360. And if somebody just want to talk to me personally, or maybe got a son in prison or something like that and want me to write that person or even possibly visit, because I'll do that too. I'll write somebody's son that's in prison and whatever. My number is 860-997-0259. Once again, if anybody want to get in contact with me for whatever reason, the number is 860-997-0259.
Well, all righty then. This has been a fascinating time. And I'm very, very pleased that I've had you here. And I thank you for dishing your tea with me and for putting this out there, brother, because I really believe this is the next wave of it. I really believe that this message needs to go all the way to the White House, and who's ever in office, all of our political leaders, this is what needs to be on that forefront, that needs to be argued, that needs to be everything.
Right.
So I thank you for coming,
and my
challenge
challenge to everybody is just get one person and get them tested. That's my challenge to everybody. Just go get one person and get them tested.
All right. Well, on that note, sir, I will let you have the rest of your day, and I thank you for coming on to the show. For everyone else, I thank you all for listening in, and I thank you for giving us your time. Go to the website, www.testourkids.com, www.testourkids.com.
And they don't have to do the test. All they got to do is just go to testourkids.com. It's all they got to do, testourkids.com. Because you could go to www.testourkids.com and get a bunch of sites. But if you just plug in testourkids.com, you'll get there.
Yep, and I'm right here right now. Okay, lovely. Okay. Lovely. So thank you so much. And yes, I have to keep you in my roster now because this is big, man. This is really big. All right. So thank you, Reverend Price.
Thank you.
Thank you for all of you who are listening. If you love me, tell a friend. If you hated me, tell an enemy. But one thing is for sure. This thing will move forward. Now, you can finish all your crumpets, honey, because the tea has been dished. So until the next time, my darlings, I thank you all for your love and your support. For more information, please email me at bigmeach@dishingtea.com. That's bigmeach@dishingtea.com. And I look forward to talking with you very soon. Until the next time, baby, that there is a wrap. So next week, baby, same bat time, same bat channel. Talk with you soon. Bye-bye.